forgotten royal mansion owned by King Charles where photography is banned. King Charles inherited several properties following the death of Queen Elizabeth II. But there isn't a lot we know about some of them, with photography banned at one location. The late Queen loved the Windsor estate, having spent her entire life in the castle itself, and in Royal Lodge when she was young. However, this special bond hasn't been replicated by King Charles, with reports suggesting he finds the Berkshire estate too noisy due to Heathrow Airport nearby, so he has no plans to move there. Instead, the historic castle is reserved for the Prince and Princess of Wales, who moved into Adelaide Cottage with their children Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. Despite the late Queen Elizabeth spending decades in Windsor, there are several mansions on the estate which she never called home. One example is Frogmore House, a 16th-century building on the Windsor estate in Berkshire, which the late Queen never lived in at any point before or during her 70-year reign. The Grade I listed residence is just a stone's throw away from the main Windsor Castle, and the first official royal resident to live there was George Fitzroy, Duke of Northumberland, the illegitimate son of King Charles II, and Barbara Palmer, Duchess of Cleveland. Frogmore House was home to numerous residents until 1792, when King George III bought it for his wife, Queen Charlotte. Its unique name comes from the huge number of frogs that live on the marshland around the grounds. It is also home to the Royal Mausoleum where Queen Victoria and Prince Albert are buried. Today, the stunning royal home is a public attraction for visitors to enjoy the perfect gardens and mesmerizing interiors. However, photography is banned inside, so the inside of the home is kept top secret. The residence has also played host to important royal occasions over the years, such as the wedding reception of Peter Phillips and Autumn Kelly, and then the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Another residence never graced by the late monarch is Fort Belvedere, a royal home that was built between 1750 and 1755 for Prince William Augustus. The royal home is located in Windsor Park, and was fondly referred to as the fort by many members of the royal family. While there was rarely a permanent resident for many years, in 1929 the fort found its most famous occupant and became the backdrop of one of the most famous moments in British history. Prince Edward, Prince of Wales, later King Edward VIII, and the Duke of Windsor, moved into the home and renovated it at a total cost of £21,000, £1.49 million today. It's also where his shocking relationship with Mrs. Wallis Simpson flourished, and she moved in permanently in 1936. When Prince Edward succeeded his father in January 1936, he was quickly faced with the reality that he couldn't be the king and marry Wallis Simpson, as she was a twice-divorced American. The king announced that he would abdicate and his brother would succeed him as King George VI, thereby making the then Princess Elizabeth the heir to the throne. He held several meetings with Prime Minister Stanley Baldwin during the crisis, but eventually signed his written abdication notices at the fort. Once Edward moved out of the home, it was left unoccupied until 1955. When the Queen's cousin Gerald Lascelles moved in, the home was once again sold in 1976 and then leased to Canadian billionaire Galen Weston, who is thought to still live there today.